Bradford City continue their 2025-26 League One campaign with an away clash against Johnny Jackson's AFC Wimbledon, and in today's video you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit 4th in the League One table. After 31 matches, we've got 16 wins, 7 draws and 8 defeats, where we've scored 40 goals and also conceded 33. That leaves us on a positive 7 goal difference and 55 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a win, a loss, a win and a loss. In terms of those last couple of matches then, on Tuesday night we had a fantastic 1-0 victory at home to Stockport County. Anthony Sarcevic scoring the only goal of the game against his former side. A pretty even affair, in all honesty. Not a load of chances created really for either side, but again it is that former Stockport man popping up with the winner, as what he did in the reverse fixture to secure all 3 points for Bradford City. We also had a 2-0 win at home to Peterborough United. For me, this is our best performance of the season so far. Bobby Poynton and Caden Jackson, two boyhood Bradford City fans, getting the goals for the Bantams. And again, you look at the stats, total domination from Bradford City. If that game finishes in double figures, genuinely nobody would complain. Our lack of ability to finish is a little bit of a concern, given that we had 9 big chances, 29 shots, 10 on target. Yes, Alex Bass in goal for Peterborough made a fair few decent saves, but our finishing was a little bit of a letdown. We also had a 2-1 defeat away at Luton. No real shame in losing away at Luton. They are very strong at home, and the scoreline was maybe... Given our late goal, it maybe shows a bit more of an even game, where I thought, yes, we had some decent chances in the second half, but Luton were the better of the two teams and, in my opinion, did deserve to win the football match. We also had a 1-0 win at home to Doncaster Rovers. Tyreek Wright scoring his first league goal for Bradford City in nearly 2 years, and since then, I think his confidence has increased and his ability to just go forward, take players on, get off shots, really has gone through the roof, and that has all come down from this goal. Absolutely outstanding strike, and it was nice to finally get one over on Doncaster Rovers. And we also had that 3-0 defeat away at Lincoln City. This feels like a very long time ago now. At this point, there was a lot of people fearing that Bradford City might just completely fall away, end up finishing in mid-table, and maybe if we have a really bad end to the season, even finish in some type of relegation battle. But thankfully, since then, we have managed to bounce back. This was obviously an absolutely shocking performance. We were battered all over the park. To say this was second versus third going into it, this result kind of did kill our automatic promotion hopes, but who knows, if we win on this weekend, Lincoln lose, we've got a game in hand, then you just keep chipping away at things. Plenty of things can still change between now and the end of the season, but this was a disappointing result for us. Compared though to AFC Wimbledon, they couldn't sit down in 16th in the League One table. After 31 matches, they've got 11 wins, 6 draws and 14 defeats, where they've scored 36 goals but also conceded 45, which leaves them on a -9 goal difference and 39 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a loss, a draw, a win and a loss, so not bad form for them at this moment in time. There was one point in the season where Wimbledon were a serious contender for the playoffs, but then went on a massive dip and were falling down the table in free fall. But recently they've started to get a bit more consistency back in their game. Obviously, in the reverse fixture, Bradford City did come out on top with a 3-2 win in that day. It always feels like it's going to be 1-0 either way whenever you're playing Wimbledon, but that finishing in a 5-goal thriller was certainly not what we expected. But both sides have gone on very different trajectories since then. Obviously, we've maintained our form, stayed at the top of the table, and obviously Wimbledon have slid down there. You look at all the sides that were promoted last campaign from League 2. You got Bradford up in 4th, Wimbledon who came up through the playoffs in 16th, Donny who won the title in 18th, and Port Vale who finished runners-up down bottom of the table and probably already relegated. In terms of Wimbledon's last couple of matches then, on Tuesday they had a 4-1 defeat away at Cardiff City. There is no real shame in losing against Cardiff City, especially away from home. They are the best side in the division, but I think the scoreline is maybe a little bit harsh on Wimbledon. They gave it a real good go, and I think that's the best way that you're going to possibly get anything out of Cardiff City, if you go there and give it a real good go. Having looked at Wimbledon's last couple of lineups, maybe they've gone away from being the big, physical, ugly Wimbledon that they were last campaign. You're looking at the only real physical players in their side. You're looking at Johnson at the back, Smith in midfield, and Bogle at the top end of the pitch. You know, you're used to the likes of Harbottle and Lewis, these big, physical sort of players in their side. side, but it's just not been there in their last couple of lineups. But I don't think there's any real shame in this type of scoreline or performance from Wimbledon. They also had a 3-3 draw away at Barnsley, who are a very, very weird side. They were 2-0 down, then pulled it back to 2-2, then went back in front, actually made it 3-2, and then obviously former bantam Scott Banks got the equaliser for the Tigers. But again, a point away at Barnsley is not the end of the world, especially when the stats do look something like this. Maybe Wimbledon will be the happier of the two teams with the point based on the performance. But again, you look at the lineup that Wimbledon have played, it has largely been this same or similar team over the last couple of weeks, so maybe we don't need to go as big and physical as what I maybe did originally think. Prior to that game then, they had a 3-2 win at home to Reading. Marcus Brown scoring a hat-trick on that day. You've got a very good finisher in Brown at Wimbledon, a very good finisher in Marriott at Reading, and the Wombles managed to come out on top in this one. Looking at the stats, Wimbledon were worse in terms of possession, but better in every other statistic, and that's how a lot of their games did look last campaign. They've not quite been as strong defensively this season, but they have been a little bit better going forward compared to where they were in League 2 last campaign. Prior to that one, they had a 1-0 win away at Port Vale. Maycock coming up with an 88th minute winner on that day, and that pretty much was the final nail in the coffin for Port Vale. I know we're only in February, but there's no chance that they are staying up. Didn't look like a game with loads of quality in it, just 3 shots on target between both of the sides, and it's important that you're picking up points, especially on the road. You're never going to complain with a win. And they also had a 1-0 defeat at home to Bolton Wanderers. Again, losing against Bolton, there is no real shame in that. I know Bolton haven't been great on the road so far this campaign, but Wimbledon had 15 shots and not a single one on target. You're not going to win games if you can't get your shots on target. But as we've seen recently, they have started to score a fair few goals. They've got 3 against Reading, 3 against Barnsley. Wimbledon are certainly no mugs, and this is going to be a very tough game for Bradford City. Before we do any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this match, and what is your score prediction as well. Would you make any changes from Tuesday's win? I was going to say away at Stockport County. It certainly was at home in front of a record-breaking midweek crowd for Bradford City. Let's get into my team though. Now, I am mindful that come full time against Reading next Saturday that we will have played 5 games in just 2 weeks, so I do think we are going to see some rotation. I would like to see the majority of the rotation come in that game against Rotherham on Tuesday. I think that's the best game on paper where you can afford it to make some changes, but this one away at Wimbledon, I think you've got to be playing your best available team in my opinion. Now for this game, I would go with the 3-4-1-2. We've seen recently that the 3-4-3 works very well at home, but away from home, especially in the last couple of matches where I think we've lost our last 5 away games, or lost our last 5 of 6 away from home. So I do think now is the time where you go to the 3-4-1-2. You get that extra man in midfield, and especially against Wimbledon, you need a bit more support for your striker at the top end of the pitch. So in goal for me, I would go with Sam Walker. Delighted for him to get yet another clean sheet on Tuesday to keep another one against Stockport. I think that's 3 home league clean sheets in a row. But Sam Walker, obviously, I think a former Wimbledon man, has had a pretty good season on the whole so far, so certainly would keep his place in between the sticks. In terms of my back 3 then, now I guess there's certainly an argument where you say you go for your most physical back 3, given that you're playing against the physical side. You play Joe Wright, Tilt and Kieran Kelly. Shouldn't be the team though, in my opinion. At right centre back, I would go with Matt Pennington. I thought I had a really good game again on Tuesday. Very reliable player, being one of our most consistent performers when he has been fit and available so far this campaign, and I think would probably be able to deal with the threat of Bogle. In the middle of my back 3, I would go with Aidan Baldwin. His passing range is one of our most important weapons, and for me, if he's fit, he has to play every game between now and the end of the season, and he's certainly a player that I would like to see tied down to a new contract by Bradford City. I thought he did excellent to deal with the threat of Kyle Wootton, who's a lot bigger than him in pretty much every department, but Baldwin and Pennington didn't really give him a kick. Obviously, Curtis Tilt is a man that you'd expect to be able to beat Kyle Wootton, and he would be starting for me at left centre-back. I think again on Tuesday had an outstanding game, kept their new signing in his back pocket really, and there was one point in the first half where he just gave up because he didn't fancy the battle anymore with Curtis Tilt. I love when he runs down the left wing, and hopefully this is the game where he finally gets his first goal for Bradford City. But that back 3 has kept clean sheet after clean sheet in the last couple of games. I think that probably is our best back 3, especially away from home in my opinion, so I would like to see it keep its place. In terms of my midfield four then, firstly at right wing back I would go with Josh Neufville. Don't think it was his best performance of the season against Stockport County, but it certainly wasn't his worst, and that's what I've been a little bit critical of from Josh Neufville. Whenever he doesn't play amazing, he then also plays very badly. He doesn't ever have average games, and I thought Tuesday was an average game from Neufville, and I don't mind that. Second half I thought he improved a little bit, but obviously it was clear that Osborne had been tasked to just man-mark Neufville, and he didn't really give him much of a kick because he wasn't leaving any space. As we know, Josh Neufville is a big threat, and obviously playing against his former side, hopefully he can come up with a goal. In terms of my two central midfielders, firstly I would go with Lee Evans. Again, it's such a mixed performance from him on Tuesday, because I thought out of possession he was absolutely outstanding, read the game very well, got his headers in, won his duels, got his tackles in, but then it was the in-possession stuff that certainly did let him down. It happened 4 or 5 times where he just needlessly gave the ball away in pretty dangerous areas, and thankfully Stockport didn't punish us, but on another day certainly it could happen. But if he wants to keep his place in the side and keep Max Power out of it, who will obviously be serving the second of his 2-game ban in this one, then Evans needs to have another very good performance out of possession like what we saw on Tuesday, but that in-possession stuff needs to be much better for this game. And partnering him in the midfield, I would go with Jensen Metcalf. For me, Tuesday proved that he is the best midfielder in the division at this moment in time. Even when Bradford City were going on our pretty poor run around January sort of time, the likes of Jensen Metcalf, the likes of Ibu Toure were two consistent performers who were playing well for Bradford City, and you saw again on Tuesday, he absolutely ran the show, did a very good job on Ollie Norwood, who a lot of people would regard as the best midfielder in the division. Lewis Bate is also not a bad option alongside him either, and I thought Metcalf had another really, really good performance. He is a very complete midfielder, and I think if Bradford City aren't promoted this season, it'll be very tough for us to keep hold of him, because I think he could start for a lot of championship clubs. I really do think he is that good, but he's playing regularly at this moment in time for Bradford City, and it'll be another tough test for him against a strong midfield. And completing my midfield four then, at left wing back I would go with Tyreek Wright. Like I mentioned earlier on in today's video, I think that goal against Doncaster has given him a lot of confidence, and I think in that left wing back position, that is his best role. He's not a left attacking midfielder in a front three, but as a left wing back it allows him to not have that pressure of having to deliver in the final third, but gives him a bit of freedom to be able to do that. Defensively, I think he's looking very strong as well as of right now, and I think both Neufville and Wright, for wing backs who are maybe not quite 6 foot, possibly off the top of my head, I think they win quite a lot in the air against their fullbacks, so I would like to see Tyreek Wright get a start in this one. In terms of my attacking midfielder, I would go with Anthony Sarsvik. Again, pretty harsh on Bobby Poynton. I thought I had a really good game against Stockport County, absolutely worked his socks off, but I think if you're to go with either player, you're thinking away from home. Poynton obviously hasn't scored away from home so far this campaign, and Sarsvik, I think it's a game that would suit him a little bit more. Obviously proved to be our most important player so far this campaign. We've got like nearly a 60% win rate with him in the side and nearly a 30% win rate with him out of the side. I would then rest him for Tuesday, because I think given his age and his injury history, I do think that Tuesday would be the best game to rest Anthony Sarsvik, given that obviously he played I think 70 minutes against Peterborough, 95 minutes against Stockport County. If you can get another 70 minutes out of him for this game, I think that would be ideal for Bradford City. But I think if you are going to rest him for any game, I think the Rotherham match is probably the best one for that. In terms of my two strikers, firstly I would go with Caden Jackson. I thought again he came on off the bench on Tuesday night and had a really positive impact on the game. He links to play well, he presses well, looks a threat in behind, and I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far from Caden Jackson, so I would like to see him get another start. And partnering him, I would go with Ethan Wheatley. Again, when you're playing against a side like Wimbledon, you're going to need two different types of strikers to take the physical outload off of one another. You know, one time you put Jackson in behind and Wheatley will come to feet, and then you'll swap it around for the next one. And I think Wheatley didn't have his best game on Tuesday night. Obviously was subbed off at half-time for Caden Jackson. I think his finishing is going to be a little bit of a problem. Obviously missed a glorious chance against Luton, missed a glorious chance against Peterborough, and about 5 minutes in against Stockport, not a glorious chance, but it's a half decent opportunity, and he completely did fluff his lines. But I think apart from his finishing, Ethan Wheatley is a very good player, and he maybe just needs to relax a little bit in front of goal. Once that first one comes, then I do think the floodgates will open up for him, because his all-round game is very good. And I think especially when you're playing away from home, have that extra man in midfield and go with two up front to allow them to link with each other. Sars then gets a free roll. I think this is could really work for Bradford City. But then again, you could also play 3-4-3, Sars on the right, Jackson through the middle, and Bobby Poynton off the left. That's not a bad option to have either. On the bench now for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Harrison Ashby, Joe Wright, Kieran Kelly, Bobby Poynton, Stephen Humphreys, and also Paul Mullin. The players currently unavailable are Ibu Toure, who it sounds like he's very touch and go for Saturday, but I don't think it's a game that we really need to risk him for the sake of it when we've got other good options. Max Power, again, will be serving the second of his 2-game ban and will be back available for selection on Tuesday. Nick Powell is back in full training, but it sounds like he's still a long way away from being involved in a matchday squad, and Will Swan is still a couple of weeks away. So the players who miss out then through selection would be Louis Sibley, George Lapsley, and also Joe White. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below on this game. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this one, and also what is your score prediction. I don't think a point would be the end of the world for Bradford City, but we need to start picking up some wins on the road, and I'll back Bradford City for a 1-0 away win. I'll go Paul Mullin in the 88th minute to get the winner for Bradford City. But thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.